Hi guys, and welcome to Brave Dog Training Online. Today we have a topic that is very dear to me because it is my day-to-day life. And that's living and training with a chronically ill dog. I'm Anita, I'm a professional dog trainer. I show you how to build a trusting relationship with your dog to overcome fear and reactivity and have a good time together again. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and to subscribe and tell me in the comments if you have a chronically ill dog and if you want to share what is the issue. Let's start with what illnesses can affect the living situation or training or the dog's behavior. And I'm not gonna talk about every single one because that would be every single one. No. But I want to share some things I am living with and I have lived with or worked with. Not all of them because that would again be a lot and too long. But I want to introduce you to a few things that I think is very common and affects the dog's behavior a lot. And number one, really with a lot of distance to everything else, is pain. Pain most often concerns the musculoskeletal system. Okay, so everything that moves. And what we have there is either old injuries, so broken bones, for example, or torn ligaments or stuff like that, that hasn't healed up perfectly. Or some dogs even get shot, so they have projectiles somewhere in their body, and sometimes they can cause some kind of reaction, even after quite some time. Arthrosis, so hurting joints, especially in senior dogs, or deformities, like deformed vertebrae, or the whole head for some breeds with the short snouters and the very round head and huge eyes and stuff like that. That can cause issues, and very often these things are related to a specific season or specific weather. For example, for old dogs with hurting joints, it's very often worse in cold, wet weather. Okay? So they might behave differently when it's cold and wet out. Or they might not want to go for a walk because they're hurting. Okay? For other breeds, especially those with short snouters and no thermoregulation, it might be hot weather because they just overheat, they cannot breathe as well, and they get issues when they are out in a very hot weather, and we have to adapt our works for those dogs especially. That can mean we are walking only at hours where it's not that hot out, or we are walking next to a body of water so they can cool down. And for old dogs, it can mean that we are doing specific things to help them relieve the pain. Of course, we are talking about pain medication. We have to talk to our vets about it. We have to find a pain medication or a combination to relieve the pain, because no dog, even old dogs, has to live in pain. We can do a lot nowadays, so we just have to talk to the vet. But all those things can really affect the behavior. Of course, when we have pain issues, we are short-tempered, we are reactive, and we just don't feel well. Okay? So this is something we have to consider. And we know our dogs, so we know, okay, my oldie is getting worse when it's getting cold out, so I kind of prepare for that. I go to the vet early. I talk to the vet about changing the pain medication for the winter months, or maybe give him a little more or whatever. I would always talk about that with a vet that is really considerate. Okay. But there are other things that can affect the behavior and us and the stress level. Okay. So whenever the body feels unwell, or the dog in general doesn't feel that good, the stress level is higher, and we have to deal with that. So our stress level is higher. Okay. And when we have a chronically ill dog, we are worrying a lot more. So our stress level is higher as well. And I really know what I'm talking about. I'm living with a not that old dog. He is chronically ill. He has been from the beginning. And it is different. And for me, it was always something I was used to. I was used to him being seasonally worse because some things are just affected by whatever. So they are seasonal, or they get worse twice a year or whatever. And a very good example for us in that was thyroid issues. He has thyroid issues, Sammy has, and those get worse twice a year, even though they are medicated. Okay? So I know when he gets worse again, I know, okay, this could be that, and I am used to it. Okay? But there was still a point where I just lost it. And that was when he had his first epileptical seizure. That was a moment where I couldn't do it anymore. I just said, that's it. I can't live like that, because my worrying got extreme. Whenever he made a sudden movement, or whenever he did something that was out of the norm, I got really startled. I even woke up when he started dreaming at night, because they are moving a little weird when they are dreaming, right? It's actually pretty cute, and I loved that before. But after the seizure, I was really worried. I woke up in the middle of the night because he was dreaming and moving in his dream, and I was worried he had another seizure. We are over that now. Good news is, we are over that now. Humans are very adaptable. And it's fine again. But it's okay for us to be a little overwhelmed by it, okay? And some things are just for us, difficult for us. For example, blindness and deafness. Most dogs are really fine with those two. They get used to it extremely fast, or they are born with it, so they have really no issues with it. But for us, it's a change, and it's difficult in the beginning. We get used to it too. I give you that. I have lived with blind dogs, deaf dogs. I've worked with them in my when I was working at the senior rescue thingy, and they really never had issues with it. None of them. But we do, because we have to change how we interact with that dog and stuff like that, okay? But other things besides pain can affect the dog and the dog's behavior severely because the stress level is higher, and sometimes also because hormones are always having an effect on behavior. And some hormones affect the stress level directly, some don't, some just affect the well-being. It's different for every disease. And one of the most commonly discussed in the last few years, at least in my country, was thyroid issues. And yes, the thyroid can have drastic effects on behavior. So this is something a lot of dogs are living with. Some dogs are fine with it, some dogs are not. It's very stressful for us. If the dog is physically, except for that, okay, he can do everything another dog can do, but he is more affected by stress. So we have to watch out for increased stress or stressful situations, and we have to try to avoid those in our day-to-day life and in training as well. So if I have a dog that has a higher stress level, I am trying to watch out for a lot of rest and peace and calm and stuff like that. So peaceful times and calm times where the dog can just relax and really feel safe. Okay? And besides that, when we do something stressful, I always keep in mind that he might not be able to deal with the stress as well as a healthy dog. So I try to keep it low, and still our dogs need some action, all right? It's not just keeping the dog quiet all the time. It's not possible. So what we can do with a chronically ill dog is, of course, we have to watch out for needs. We have to fulfill our dog's needs as best as we can. Of course, we cannot fulfill everything because we cannot let the dog hunt like crazy, for example, but we have to fulfill the dog's needs as best as we can and as safe as we can. A bored dog is also dealing with stress issues because boredom is a very intense stressor, okay? And sometimes it might mean that we have to adapt our walks. Or, for example, if we have an old dog with hurting joints, we might walk in the woods rather than on pavement because the floor is kind of softer, right? Or we put a jacket on the dog because he has back pain and he gets cold. Maybe because he's older or because he just gets cold. Some dogs just get cold. And especially with hurting joints, warmth is a very, very good thing. Very often. Not every dog likes it, but those who do, good thing. For other dogs, we have to watch out for what they can eat in training, right? Sammy has an issue with his pancreas. It's not working well. And he cannot eat a lot of fatty things. But the fatty things are just amazing rewards, right? He's a dog that isn't that food driven anyway. And he picks and chooses very carefully what he likes and what is a reward for him. And it's always the fatty things. It's always the fatty things he is not allowed to eat. So we watch out and we adapt the medication to it, all right? Because I just can't let him feel worse because he has no reinforcers outside. Yes, we can use functional reinforcers and other things, but food is a nice reinforcer for him. and I didn't want to take that away from him. So we are adapting the medication for it. This is something we just have to get used to, okay? And if we see the dog having a bad day or having a bad time in general, or a longer period of time, take a step back. Do stuff that are really fun together for both of you. And just let the day be a day. Okay? That is, in my opinion, the most important thing in dealing with chronically ill dogs. Do what is fun. Focus on the good things, because if we are not, we are at some point seeing the dog only as a problem, and that's where the relationship really suffers. So try to avoid that. I know it happens. It happened to me, and I was really ashamed of it because I love my dog, of course, but it was just so much. And then we just started to do things that are really fun. We played outside, we are exploring things, we are just having a good time. And that's where things got better a lot. Because those things also decrease the stress level again. Both ours and our dogs. So this is the most important thing I can give you. Do something fun with your dog, and don't focus just on the illness. Focus on what's good, what's joyful, what's a great time with your dog. And if it's just snugglies, then it's just snugglies. That's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have an amazing time with your dog, no matter how healthy he is. Bye!